Hey, we are talking about business for performers with SNATS at USC, which is, tell me what it is again. Students. See the prepared performers we have here? Students of the National Association of Teachers of Singing. That's a lot of ofs in there. We're going to give you just a sneak peek. You're not going to be able to be here for the whole thing because we're going to get into business strategies. Boom. Yahoo. All right, here we go. So in prepping for this today, this, as I've told you before, this is something that I have spoken about a lot. I have a whole course on this, and it's something I'm very passionate about. But in prepping for today, I wanted to kind of just look up some new articles that would be out there. So I Googled careers for music majors. And this is what I found as one of the top things, which was 8 college degrees with the worst return on investment. I was like, no! So my goal here today is to empower you to know that that does not have to be true. I'm sure you know that the skills that you learn as a music major are, very applicable to other things in life. However, I don't even want you to think about that. I want you to know that you can use your skills, the things that fill you with joy, that you know are your passion, that you really do best. And as my friend Adam Rabansky says, the thing that you do best, that comes easiest to you, is the thing that you should actually charge the most for. I wish we had a video because I was like, And that's something that's really hard to embody and to stand by. This is crazy. Okay. To stand by, but it's actually, because it comes easy to you, does not mean that it's easy for someone else. And so, Laurel, that actually ties into kind of what you were talking about with sharing the things of academia. Sometimes we forget to look at things from the audience's perspective, which is our students or our potential clients. So just keep that little nugget in there as I share this kind of stuff. So I have to admit that in the beginning, this was really difficult for me at first as well. When I graduated, I had loads of skills in the, as a theater and dance major and studying music privately. And I moved to New York, and I knew how to audition, I knew how to rehearse, but I had no clue how to get a job. And I remember being in the Equity Building in New York. So I work mainly in musical theater, but being in the Equity Building as a non-equity member, so not a part of the Actors Equity Union. And everybody was like writing down all the names of the people who were in the room. They had all these spreadsheets and they were keeping track of things. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, I just sing. And I was at an audition where the way the Equity Building used to be, if you were not a part of the union, you had to sit in this really long hallway before you were allowed to get into the room. And I'm not sure if that's the case with more of the classical auditions, but it can be hard to get an appointment. So you just have to go in this cattle call and wait. And I had been there a long time. It was a dance call, I believe, so I was all dressed up. And I went up to the woman at the front of the monitor, and I said, can you tell me where the restroom is? And she said, do you have an equity card? I said, no, but I was young and just moved to New York, and I said, no, but I'm here for the audition. And she said, great, you can go down the stairs around the corner, and there's a McDonald's in Times Square. And I was like, wait, what? I can't be in the building. So the way that now it's a little different, actually. They have a really nice lounge, but at the time, I wasn't even allowed to use the restroom. I was like, something is not working about this. I was, throwing myself at job opportunity after job opportunity, basically begging for a job. And I turned around and I was like, and it was just rows of women who were taller and, thinner than me, shorter and prettier than me, whatever, all the judgment stuff that we do to ourselves. And I would have lost my spot if I had left. I had all my shoes, everything, all of this stuff with me, and I was like, I'm going home today. So it's one of the only times that I've ever left an audition. And as I was walking home that day, I was like, what is happening here? And what I realized is that the energy that I was bringing into the room was an energy of, give me a job, how can I be what you want me to be? Instead of, how can I just bring the most awesome me into the room so that you can see the best thing that I have to bring to the table, and then you can make a decision. And if you've ever been on an audition situation where you're on the other side of the table, you might know that they want you to do well, right? It feels like they're judging, and they are, trying to decide what's right, but if you come in with that energy, there is no way you can ever get into their head and know exactly what they want. So you have to just really celebrate the things that make you, you. So we're going to do an exercise about that later, but I want to read a little quote for you. So after I figured this whole thing out about the confidence piece, I ended up booking lots of jobs. I got my equity card. I did national tours. I worked for about 5 years straight in New York. I've been there for a total of 8. It was awesome. And then I realized I got engaged, and I was like, I want to have kids. How am I going to do this with kids, you know? And that might not be everybody's path, but for me, even having an equity card and having booked national tours and done really successful, amazing things, one of the biggest contracts I had was, I think, $850 a week, and then you go back to unemployment. And we don't like to talk about that when we're learning about singing and dancing and that type of stuff, but it's, you know, I always think of the Cosby Show episode where Bill Cosby is giving, Theo says, like, I don't need, you know, whatever, and Bill Cosby's like, okay, how much do you think you'll make? And he gives him all the money, and he's like, great, so you're going to have to pay for this, and all the money goes back to Bill Cosby, and then, and Theo's like, oh no, but I want a fancy motorcycle so I can take my girlfriend out, whatever, you know, and by the end of it, he's left with like $2. And we don't actually, we should learn this in high school, really, but most of the time we don't stop and think about what it actually takes to live a life that you love. And as an artist especially, it's so important. If you want to be able to give fully, you have to be able to charge fully as well, right? It's crazy. So I will tell you that after moving back to New York, or back to California, to be closer to my family and raise kids, I booked like 15 teaching jobs, and I was driving all over Southern California, and I had a son, and I was like coming home really late at night, and I was like, this is not, I'm working a lot, but I'm not seeing my child, this is not a possibility, this will not work. And then the magic of online business came into my life. And we'll get to that in a little bit, but I dove in as hard as I could and realized that there was a way to leverage my time by offering the things that came easiest to me, which was helping people to be confident, helping people to step into their power, you know, performance skills, singing skills, but I could do it in a way where I was affecting thousands of people and able to raise my prices because I was able to really identify the transformation that I was able to provide. And by using social media and, you know, online marketing and that type of stuff, it's crazy the amount of, you know, the change that you can make in the world. And then this year, we passed 6 figures in my company, which I'm like, I can't even believe. And now, like, having paid attention to the numbers, which used to be so scary to me, now it's fun, and it still can be a struggle, especially being an artist. But I'm so excited to be sharing these skills with you all. So now I'm going to read you a little quote, because it seems weird to pay artists money sometimes, because it's something that you love, right? So this is a quote from Jack Conte. Do you guys know the website Patreon? Do you know that? So it's a website you should all write it down, Patreon, and actually what it is, it's a way to put your music, it might be other art besides music, but put your art onto the world and have people pay you for it, where it doesn't feel like you're begging for money. It's that you're providing a service, you're providing something of value, especially now. We need like connection and inspiration and kindness and the things that music provides us with. It's so valuable and so important. So why not give someone the opportunity to pay you for it? So this is a quote that he said on a podcast I love called Smart Passive Income. Hi, join us. So he said, about 100 years ago, humans figured out how to record art and put it on a physical thing, and then sell that thing to consumers. This worked with light and photography and film. We figured out how to capture light onto a piece of photographic paper. We figured it out with sound, with music. You could record onto a wax cylinder and then box up that wax cylinder and sell it to consumers. We basically figured out how to record art onto a physical thing and then package that thing and distribute that thing around the world and sell it to consumers for a price. Magic. What happened then is we created billions of dollars of infrastructure around the packaging, shipping, and distribution of these physical things that people could purchase. And because of billions and billions of dollars of infrastructure and so many jobs and so much energy and so much time in the creation, every time you go through one stage of that infrastructure, you lose money. And some of the infrastructure for the creator. To some of the infrastructure to the creator. So the creator ends up at the end of the chain with a very tiny amount of funds that were actually spent by the consumer. That is freaking weird. That's what I love. that usually when I look up this quote, if I can't find it, I look up Jack Conte, freaking weird. But that's a really weird system that we've developed over the last 100 years. You can put art onto a thing and then ship it with a truck. Like physically, with a truck. You can ship it around the world and give it to somebody. That is a really weird phenomenon. What's not weird is the way that art has always been made, which is patronage. Every piece of great work that has ever been studied or seen in history, in a history book or in anything, it was made because some wealthy person saw that somebody was doing what somebody was doing and said, here's a bag of coins, go do awesome things, because you're awesome and I like you. Whether that's Beethoven's Fifth or whether it's Michelangelo's David, I don't care. Every piece of great art we've ever known has been made because a patron said, I like what you do. Go do more of that. That's what's normal. That's how art has been funded for thousands and thousands of years. And it's only in the last 100 years that unit sales and a sale of a physical object that contains art on it has become the norm. So it is not weird to be paid for your awesome services. It's weird not to. So I just want to empower you to know that anything is possible. And there is this thing that I call the starving artist syndrome. And I'm here to cure it. You guys want to cure the starving artist syndrome? Yes, you can raise your hand. Awesome. All right, so anything is possible with a plan, which we're going to talk about today, and action. So one of my coaches, Dana Corey, was speaking at an event this weekend, and she laid out this foundation for a business. And then at the end, she said two things that I loved. One was the foundation is not sparkly. I was like, oh yeah, that's why sometimes it's hard to do that because it doesn't seem fun and attractive. We're going to make it a little fun today. And she said, just because you know the foundation's there does not mean that you have mastered the foundation. And I added to that also that just because you know the foundation's there does not mean that you actually know what to do with it even. You know? So you have to really, I want to inspire you that with this, it can be a little overwhelming at first, but the best way to get clear about it is to move into action and to put it out there. And so once you start putting this stuff out there, you'll get feedback from your audience. You'll get feedback from potential coaches maybe. But if you just sit there and think about it, well, it's not going to work. Okay? Are we ready? All right. So the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to think about everything that you have to offer as a singer or as a musician or as a teacher. And we're going to talk a lot about how teaching, if you want to have a full-on performance career, teaching is not a way of selling out. It is a way of being able to provide, because you know as a performer, jobs come and go. And if you can have something stable like teaching, and I've been able to coach people all over the world. I have an appointment with somebody on Monday in Australia, who is a vocal coach, actually, which is really cool. But I've taught people in Australia, the UK, all of this, and all of it you can do it straight from a laptop. There's a really awesome website called Savvy. Are you guys using Savvy? I can't remember.
Are we for scheduling?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are now.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. It's savvy.is. I can connect you with the people who, I was one of their beta testers and I love it. And they have a platform where you can literally reach people all over the world. And this is something that you can do backstage while you're on tour. I have taught voice lessons in a parking lot in Palm Springs once because she needed an emergency session. So I was like literally coaching her from inside a parking lot. It is possible. So just really get around the fact that teaching and coaching is an amazing way to be able to supplement your performance skills. And then also, what I've found is that when I perform now, it works as marketing for my teaching business. So the two things really work hand in hand so well. So as much as you can, get the idea that you're not selling out, you're not giving up on your performance career by launching something where you're offering services that are not necessarily just performing. As much as you can get excited about that, the better. Okay, so think about all the things that you have to offer. Everything, like if you made a list of 100 things that you could teach or 100 ways you could perform, and think about how awesome it would be, and then throw it away. was like, oh, wow. We're gonna bring it back, I promise. Okay. But this is really like the secret sauce to branding and to confidence and to be able to walk into a building and to be congruent so that when you go to a networking event, you're not, because this is what used to happen when I would go to networking events, I was going to say I put on a pencil skirt. I'm wearing a pencil skirt right now. But I put on something that made me feel very like businessy and official, and then I would try and prove to these people who were a little bit older than me maybe and more successful than me that I was like a business person. But once I was able to take this skill that I'm going to give you and really work all of this into my brand, and my business has exploded because I don't have to fake it. I can just be me all the time. So what you're going to do is you're going to make a list of 20 things that make you an awesome human. And this is a really great trick. I actually started doing this with my vocal students when they were not confident. But you know, no matter how skilled you are, you get freaked out. Right? So you're going to list the 20 things that make you an awesome human. And because that can be difficult, I have one student who got to the third thing, and she's like has an amazing financial coaching business, and she got to the third thing, and she messaged me and was like, "Oh, I only have 3. I can't do this." It's like, yeah. So I made a little acronym, which is the word SAVE with 2 A's, because I can't spell. So SAVE, and it is your skills, your appearance, and appearance is big when you're using live video because oftentimes we're looking at ourselves, and if we start to judge ourselves, then if you can't celebrate the things that are about your, that you love about your physical appearance, it can dampen your confidence. So you have to find things that you love. Activities that you love, aside from singing, because when you go into an audition and you're working with someone in a show, and all that person talks about is music, it's like, do you have anything else in your brain? So there are other things that make, I love fiber arts, I love hiking, I love making felt out of raw wool, which is really weird, but when I find somebody else who likes that, they're like, oh my gosh, me too. So those other things that fill you with joy. So your skills, appearance, activities, your values. And bringing your values into your business is huge. It allows your ideal client to connect with you on a deeper level so that they feel even more excited about throwing money at you. And then the last one is things you like to eat. Oh. Because, okay, I want to know, show of hands, how many of you love Brussels sprouts? Okay, now how many of you hate Brussels sprouts? And how many of you are in between? Have you ever had that before?
It's over how popular they are.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Okay, but usually, so that's so funny because there's like restaurants that I will define as like, oh, it's a restaurant with fancy Brussels sprouts. Right? Yeah, totally. But people usually have a very visceral reaction to them. Either they love them or they hate them. So if you I have done a test on this also, social media wise. I was with a girlfriend who's also a social media coach, and we posted a picture of Brussels sprouts and just wrote Brussels sprouts, ? And that was it. And it had like 70 comments. So it's something that it is, you're right, it's over popular right now, but people have a reaction to it. So, the foods that you really love are things that you can easily talk to someone about. And so all of this together is called the quesadilla of awesome. You can use the hashtag. And the reason it's called that is because everyone has something that makes them uniquely awesome as a human, even if it's just that you make an amazing quesadilla. And this kind of goes back to the things that come easiest to you or what you should charge most for. When I started celebrating the fact that I was this crazy swing dancer when I was younger, and the goofy things that made me literally fill my chest with bubbles, when I started celebrating those as much as I could, and searching, this is the next step, is searching out that awesome in other people. It was so freeing. I brought more light and energy into a room. Like before you go into an audition, just look at that list of your quesadilla of awesome and stop thinking about the lyrics or the technique, because that's stuff you should have under control, right, at that point. So you walk in with your quesadilla of awesome shining out of your chest, instead of like, oh my gosh, this music, right? So that can be hugely powerful confidence-wise. Okay, I'm going to turn this video off if it's still going so that we can get really detailed. Yeah. Oh, we're still going, bye!